Ever since the beginning of Beyblade, attack types have been one of the most favorite to battle with. It's also the type to be most favored by Takara Tomy themselves and their audience as a whole. To the point, the Beyblade anime would advertise attack types through their main protagonist, in which every main character in each Beyblade series uses an attack type Beyblade. However, in actual real-life competitive play, attack types were usually not the most dominant part. Each new generation slowly weeding out attack types from being the most viable strategy the further the series went on. At least until the newest generation, Beyblade X, appeared on the scene. Beyblade X was immediately advertised as the most extreme generation, hence the X to play. Also intertwined with their marketing, X has been built up to be the most sport-like gameplay. Some may think stamina types dominate the Beyblade meta, citing previous generation parts like Bearing Drive from Phantom Orion, and from the Metal Fight Beyblade generation, Bearing Drift from Beyblade Burst, or the now soul-terrorizing stamina blade in Beyblade X, Wizard Rod, which is not even the most dominant Beyblade, at least not what it once was from when it was fresh on release. The Beyblade community has also proven that Beyblade X is developing a much different style than any generation previously. And the competitive scene has developed a crazy amount, to the point that one Japanese user on Twitter, xvmax_sigbay, has created an awesome infographic on the Beyblade X meta. And it also is kind of a sort of hexagonal line that represents the Beyblade X meta, which is very interesting to look at. And while this graph may not be perfect, it amazingly simplifies the meta in my opinion. One of you may be watching and thinking already, wow, this graph has a lot of attack types here. Which, you are correct, there are a lot of attack types on this graph. And the two dominant stamina types, Wizard Rod and Silver Wolf, are practically being overshadowed by them. And interestingly enough, the attack type blades are all now fitted into their own subcategories separate from their main attack type. So I want to dive into these attack type categories and really show you why attack types dominate the Beyblade X metagame. So let's get into it with the first category, the strong hitting attack blade. These blades are mostly represented by Shark Edge, Dran, Buster, and Well Wave. If you aren't familiar with these, they all kind of dumb down to the Beyblade that just hits really hard, but has not too much stamina, which is basically the typical attack type you'd basically be seeing in any other generation as well. These Beyblades are high risk, high reward, so only the most confident players are really willing to play these glass cannons. And to most, this might be their favorite attack type Beyblade to use. I know so many people who love Shark Edge, so many people who favor Dran Buster, including me, and a lot of people who just love Well Wave for its design and counterplay. That's only the first category. Let's move on to our second category, the Equalizers. These Beyblades have been known in the past to be stamina types, but in Beyblade X, they're more so a balance type Beyblade. And the reason is because these Beyblades excel in two types of Beyblades, attack and stamina. And it's actually very interesting because the two blades that fit into this category are actually pretty separate in use. First, we have the only left spin Beyblade to exist in Beyblade X right now, Cobalt Dragoon. The combo that's used most of the time for this Beyblade is Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate. And the second Beyblade is Samurai Saber, which actually is definitely also a balance type Beyblade because it really does excel in some stamina areas and attack areas. But in my opinion, it just doesn't excel as much as Cobalt Dragoon. These Beyblades do function similarly in that they want to hit the opponent with a barrage of hard-hitting attacks and at the end kind of rely on stamina to outspin them as well. One of the combos for Samurai Saber that actually isn't listed on the hexagonal graph is Samurai Saber on Freeball, which I have actually seen outspin Wizard Rod and Silver Wolf many times. And honestly, it goes crazy with how versatile this Beyblade can be. It may not be the best, but it's definitely up there. And Samurai Saber on Level is actually used to counter Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate. and can do a decently good job holding its own against Wizard Rod and Silverwolf a little bit. But yeah, overall, I would say these attack types are kind of stamina types in disguise as well, ones you definitely do not want to underestimate. But now we have the last category, the attack versus attack mobile attackers. These blades are some of the most fun to run and arguably take the cake for the best in the meta. And the Beyblades making up this category are Aero Pegasus, Phoenix Wing, Nightmail, Tyranno Beat, and maybe Dran Sword and maybe Dran Dagger to a lesser extent as well. Though these Beyblades can not only dominate against other attackers, but they also can obliterate stamina types, even rivaling the equalizing Beyblades due to their survivability and late game hitting prowess. And in my opinion, these Beyblades should be a must-have in your deck. But these Beyblades definitely leave an impact and really show the best representation of how attack types can be so dominant in this current Beyblade X meta. So after completely classifying these blades, the dominant stamina types like Wizard Rod and even Silverwolf don't really come close to the usage of attack types in Beyblade X. It can even get more complicated when running a 3-on-3 Beyblade deck, since usually you want Beyblades to fill a certain role to boost your chance of winning. The most skilled bladers out there choose wisely and only run what they're really comfortable with, but also which also secures them the best fighting chance against other players as well. There are still a lot of decks that are labeled as Spamina decks, ones with Cobalt Dragoon Elevate, Silver Wolf on Free Ball or Ball, and Wizard Rod on Free Ball or Ball as well. And while these are very reliable, I think any really good player with a really good attack type Beyblade can kind of demolish this deck as a whole. But that's getting things a little too complicated. And I may just be an attack type fanboy, but I really do vouch for the attack types in this generation, and they've been the best I've ever seen them before. And I love Metal Fight Beyblade, but I can see how some metas in Metal Fight Beyblade kind of lack in certain areas because they don't have enough attack types to keep it from being a lot more entertaining. And Beyblade Burst, I've not really played, but the times I have played Beyblade Burst, it's just been stamina on stamina, and it's not been the most fun, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below what your favorite attack type is, because honestly, these Beyblades are crazy, and I love the way that X kind of just makes attack types so overpowered in some areas as well. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a excellent, fantastic weekend, and remember to keep on spinning.